pressure points for the border battle. You know, for guys like Nordo and I, the number 7 is that of completion and perfection. And that's going to be a common thread tomorrow at the Friday Football Feast. Buffalo Wild Wings, Coon Rapids. Stop by and say hello. And make sure you listen right at 9. From a pressure point standpoint, thanks to FVP and FVPparts.com, reach for what works. We got a mini marathon here for you with pressure points. Do. Mine is handling prosperity. And we're only 3 games into this thing. So it's not a stretch to go down this road at this stage. However, all of us have seen in all these professional leagues so many times somebody gets high on the horse and then out of nowhere the horse bucks, somebody falls, they snap a femur and they're never the same. Handling prosperity. Lots of shine and love coming the way of the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm talking about the quarterback love. I'm talking about the national media love that locally and nationally people are just all over the Minnesota Vikings. And this is our generation, 2024. We're part of this generation now, which means those who are in their 20s, maybe low 30s, they're looking at phones, computers, tablets, and a lot of social media options, a lot. And that's the way of the world. So that means they're seeing a lot of this shine and a lot of this love heading the way of the 2024 Minnesota Vikings. And that's fine because they've earned it. But how do you handle it? You can read the headlines, but that doesn't mean you have to take the headlines to heart. You still consider it this way. Consider yourselves still the perceived middling team in which few believed. Okay? Just make that creed. You still are the perceived middling team in which few believed, right? There's a point of pressure that comes with being good. And the pressure gets higher when you're good and hyped. And the pressure's even higher when you're good, hyped, and ballyhooed. When doubted, there's built-in reason to fight. When killing good teams and having mucho praise heaped upon you, sometimes teams can lose an edge. Bad week to lack an edge. Bad week. Despite suffocating Stroud and defeating Debo, a loss and you lose first place and the tiebreaker with the division rivals. Can it be made up? Absolutely. Do you want to deal with it now? No. Why? Because you've come so far in 3 games to open so many eyes locally and nationally, and not that that matters. It has to be elevator music for those who succeed and accomplish at the highest level, not perform at the highest level. There are some Jacksonville Jaguars compensated to perform at the highest level. I watched on Monday Night Football, and they should be ashamed of themselves. So just because somebody gets to the highest level doesn't mean they can handle it. Those who succeed, those who continue to ascend, those who continue to make the details as important as the overarching opinion. Well, that's the Minnesota Vikings right now because of what they did to C.J. Stroud and what they did to Next Level Shanny the week before that. They suffocated Stroud, and you ebb the tide of whatever pressure comes with grabbing headlines all over the land by blocking Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith and confusing Love and or Willis. Those are the 1 and 1A topics for me. You have the better running back, the better quarterback, the better offensive tackles, the better defensive coordinator, and pass rushers that come from all angles. Don't believe the hype. Be the hype. Handle the pressure that comes with prosperity. And if you do that, I don't really see any reason the Vikings shouldn't win this game.
Pressure points.
I got this text, 64686, and it leads into my first pressure point, and it's part of handling prosperity. Ryan in Michigan, I asked for MVPs through 3. He says, it's the offensive line. Sam's been sliding well in the pocket, but mainly not under massive duress. The timing plays are opening up beautifully, and Sam's making the throws. None of this happens, as well as the run game, if we aren't getting after it and handling the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy, and good morning. Well, thank you, Ryan. And that leads me to my first pressure point. And maybe this is why Garrett Bradbury was listed as a did not participate, because he's working his mind and his body to get ready for Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark in 16 career games against the Vikings, PA, has 8 sacks. He's had at least a sack in 2 of the last 3 in particular. And that's where I kind of extend this into the offensive line being a pressure point. Now, they racked up some fat stats in that Tennessee game. They had 8 sacks in that game. Yep. So if you're just looking at overall season stats, you're like, hey, Quay Walker and Isaiah McDuffie and Keyshawn Nixon. Ooh, the corners are getting in the mix. Devontae Wyatt's ready to step up. Preston Smith's got 2. We know him. Edgerrin Cooper. Who the heck is this guy? Lucas Van Ness, second year. He's making plays. So we look at all of that, and Rashawn Gary needs to be mentioned maybe in front of all of those guys. We're looking at a pass rush situation on Sunday that is going to put some pressure on this Minnesota moving company. If we're looking at Pro Football Focus and statistics and things, Blake Brandel thus far has been rated as one of the best left guards in the entire NFL. He's off to a bang-up start, and he's a big body, and he's moving people, and he's keeping Sam upright. Sam has been sacked 8 times through 3 games, PA. So the offensive line is putting him in spots to move and use that mobility and be on time and make this offense cook, but it is not without Sam hitting the turf along the way. And we've kind of marveled at some of these defensive fronts over the course of time. And, man, we'd really love that Aaron Donald on our team, and we can't find him. We haven't had a great 3 technique since Tom Johnson in 2017. Now, while that is in the process of changing on our defense, the defensive fronts and the challenges ahead are not changing. The pressure point for me is keeping Sam upright and on time and figuring out what Mr. Hafley's going to do with this defense at Lambeau on Sunday.
Best front 7 we've seen all year. And yes, I know what Dexter Lawrence can do. And yes, I would take Dexter over Kenny Clark. But Kenny Clark had a career-high 7.5 sacks last year in his 8th year from UCLA. So my man still brings it. We talked yesterday about TJ Slayton. He has 0 sacks in 3 years, but this just personifies how football is the ultimate team game. Every coach, every sneaky little text or phone call I make about TJ Slayton, they all say the same thing. His overall game is a problem, and you have to double him more than people would think because he has 0 sacks in 3 years. Devontae Wyatt is playing out of his mind right now. He has 3 sacks. He had 2 versus Tennessee, and he's in his 3rd year from Georgia. Well, he's a backup. Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary, they can wreck it. Isaiah McDuffie, I'm not the biggest fan, but the guy behind him, Edgerrin Cooper, 2nd-round rookie from Texas A&M, he has a half sack. He's inches from 3 sacks this year.
Really?
Yes. So this is the best front 7 we have seen all year. And yes, I know we played the Niners.
Pressure points.
And yes, I know they have Fred Warner and Nick Bosa.
Pressure points into this game. This game feels to me intuitively like it's a field goal game, which means this guy needs to remain flawless.
This is what do we got here? 58-yard try, right hash by Reichert. His first 50-yard attempt in the National Football League. Snap spot. Reichert's kick with plenty of leg, and he hit went through. He hit the upright, and it went through. This kid's unbelievable. A 58-yard make by Reichert.
How about that? 58 yards, and kind of coach speak style. Matt Daniels was talking to the press, and he was asked, let me just play it. I think I got the question here. Let's see.
That is
there we go.
Any different piece of advice.
Kicking at Lambeau.
Kicking on Lambeau's turf. So, we always hear about Chicago, but it doesn't seem like, as long as it's not freezing or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. When people always play, you watch the tape, it's always a ton of slipping going on out there. A lot of times we recommend wearing 7 studs out there just so you can get a little bit more grip and into the ground out there, just because for whatever reason the grass is usually very slick. So we just got to be mindful of that, of the footwear that we're wearing out there, and make sure we get out there pregame. Guys are doing the proper workouts and warm-ups just to make sure that their footing is good. But From a kick-in punting standpoint, it's kind of same, but it's more so for the guys that's covering, blocking, running around out there. Just got to be careful with the footwork and what they're wearing.
So that's Matt Daniels, special teams coordinator, a couple of days ago, PA. So no excuses for the kicker.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, 5 of 5 on field goals. He's been pure on all 10 extra points in a game, in a border battle that could be close on Sunday. My pressure point is, Mr. Will Reichard being perfect.
Pressure points.
76 and sunny Sunday at Green Bay is the advanced forecast.
That sounds gorgeous.
Winds out of the northeast, 10 to 15. That's actually a little stronger than usual, but it ain't bad. Speaking of special teams, let's make this fairness in a Caleb Evans act. Caleb's taken more than his fair share of verbal blows from pundits, those who analyze the games, those who talk about the games, for the way he's played during the early part of his career, specifically defensively. Caleb Evans and Jay Ward as the Gunners. Wow, holy cow, they're playing really well right now. Yeah, take a look at it for everybody if you get a chance. It's when Wright is punting. It's the two guys, one out wide right, one out wide left. You'll see 20 and 21. And they're starting to double a Caleb. I mean, he because he's getting around people so quickly. And then Jay Ward's lickety-split fast. So that complements the pressure point that makes up this special teams group.
Pressure points.
Yeah.
And that's Pressure Points, PA, wrapping up another mini marathon FVP segment.
And when we return, Nordo's 3 for the 6-pack of picks. I went with the Cowboys -6 tonight, the Buffalo Bills to win outright, and the Seattle Seahawks +3.5 at Detroit. We'll see what Matt Producer has up his sleeve around the corner into the penultimate. After that, Bo Hunting Burnsy on the game at the Big House. Don't leave. Final 3 in the 6-pack of picks. Nordo, take it away.
Absolutely. I'm going to start, and it pains me a little bit, but as a Vikings fan. But I think this weekend, these guys figure it out in a big way.
The Bears?
4th and 1. Game on the line here for the Bears.
Yes, indeed.
Williams.
Yeah, I almost
takes
took
the
him.
Snap.
I like him too.
Pocket holds. Zips it to a wide open Cole Kmet. End zone right. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears. Colts forgot about Cole Kmet. How could you? 6-yard touchdown on his 10th target. And the Bears pull to within 6.
Yeah, how can you forget about Cole Kmet? I mean, seriously, Jeff.
I love Jeff Joniak.
He's the best.
Oh, he's so tough to track down. I wish we could have him on the show more often. Jeff Joniak, by the way, Vox for the Chicago Bears. He will have a fade to black moment this weekend against the Rams. Bears are 3-point favorites, and it's if 6-pack of picks. I would put this like a seltzer because I can't stand seltzers, but they're all the rage with the kids, and the kids love them. Some Caleb Williams. I don't believe in the Bears. But I'm intrigued to see Caleb Williams go out and have a day. He's frustrated. DJ Moore's pouting. The offensive line is one of the worst in the league. But this is a moment for talent to truly win out. This Rams defense is brutal, and the focus will be, of course, is there's no Puka, there's no Cooper Kupp. The offensive line has been just battered to start the season. It's ugly for McVay. But while Kobe Turner's good, I think Jared Verse is learning on the fly. The rookie, I mean, they love their draft picks now that they finally can use them again. But these kids got to step up. Braden Fisk, their second rounder, like they're relying on a lot of youth to make plays, and it's not working. One of the worst defenses in the NFL across the board. They're giving up north of 5 per carry as well, and 9 yards per attempt through the air. This is an opportunity for Caleb Williams, and last week, albeit in a loss, he put up massive yards, threw a couple of TDs, threw a couple of picks as well. It's still mistake-laden for the rookie, But this is it. And for the Rams, you can make Tutu Atwell a star for a game. That's cool. But, Kyron might do some damage in this game. Kyron Williams on the ground. If they're trailing and they have trouble scoring, I don't see another 10-point fourth quarter comeback in this team. The Bears defense, albeit in losses, are keeping these games close and attainable. And I hope the Bears lose, but I actually think that Caleb Williams comes to life and gets a victory over the Rams on Sunday.
The Rams cared more about the Niners game than they will care about the Bears game. And that's simply because it's a division rival where 70% of the stadium, your stadium, was filled with Niners fans. And they came back and beat Channing, which they never do. So there's going to be some form of regression to whatever mean this week. And I like that side.
This next one, if it was a 6-pack, a sampler of sorts, this would be an IPA with the bitterest of bitter tastes in your mouth. But this squad, specifically the defense, just continues to get it done.
Brissett under center, straight ahead handoff to Ramondre Stevenson. Chuck Clark wraps him up after a gain of 5. The ball pops out. The Jets think they have a recovery. Do they? They do. It may have been Chuck Clark that ripped the ball free from Ramondre Stevenson.
That's Jets defender Chuck Clark, by the way, Mr. Wischusen, Jets Vox on the call. This is a little bit of a sneak peek at London next week, but the Jets are big favorites hosting the Broncos. Bo Nix is going to get his butt kicked this weekend. Saleh's group foaming at the mouth. They're going to fluster him. They're going to pound him into submission. You have Nathaniel Hackett, who's going to ask Aaron Rodgers to do some nasty things to Sean Payton's team and steal that smug smile off that guy's face. It's the Broncos are interesting, and I don't know what the NFL record is, PA, for games to start your career as a starting quarterback without throwing a touchdown pass. This offense right now, albeit, again, good, solid, fair victory down in Tampa last weekend, to the point where you're digging through box scores and looking at people's opinions going, okay, I get it, the quarterback ran one in. How did you get to 26 points? Yeah. What happened down there?
Right.
And so whatever Bermuda Triangle-like fashion they won in against Tampa, it's not going to work against this Jets defense. And Aaron Rodgers still working out the connectivity with Garrett Wilson, dropsies with Lazard at times. It isn't perfect right now. And Breece Hall really, if you're a fantasy football fan, has kind of been the victim of all of this, as they've really failed to get him moving. But this is going to work this weekend. I think one of their linebackers, Ogletree, just tore himself up with an ACL, so he's done for the year.
For the Broncos, right?
For the Broncos,
their leading tackler, and he's out for the year.
And he's done for the season. This is to go and win in Tampa. We're happy for you. To go then back-to-back and do something like this at MetLife, I just see no chance that this is anything but lopsided for the Jets.
The Broncos are the O'Douls of the 6-pack of Vicks.
And my final one, this is kind of like a giant mug of German lager at that Oktoberfest party that Bill Michaels is going to be at.
Or Saturday at Canterbury for our Oktoberfest at 4.
Because I think these guys in this game is going to be a party.
They got to snap it on a 3rd and 7, and they do. Bengals bring the house. Jaden loads one up for McLaurin in the end zone. Did he catch it? He did!
You got bit by that kid, didn't you?
Touchdown, Washington! Unreal!
Hey, okay.
Well, I got bit by that highlight.
No, you're bit by Jaden Daniels. You've been bit for 3 weeks.
I am bit. Now I am taking. I'm going to take the Birds, the Cardinals to cover this. They're 3.5 point favorites, and I think Kyler Murray and this offense is really as good as they've been. I look at the Cardinals as being marginally better at home with Gannon's defense. Jaden McDaniels is a freaking rising star and a stud and should have been the first overall pick. And he's truly the cat's ass, as you would say. And he's just so much fun and an absolute blast to work. It's Cliff Kingsbury bringing that operation back to Arizona where he used to play. Like, there's cool angles in this game. And that's why I look at this one as being an absolute party. The defense that the Commanders are going to work with, Dan Quinn, head coach, defensive background, that's where the problems lie. And what they're doing with Murray and getting Harrison Jr. up to speed. I don't see James Conner having 2 awful weeks in a row like he had this last weekend against the Kitties. I think they figured that out and are just simply able to stave off what Jaden Daniels is doing with this offense. And people have heard it over the last couple of days. Like, you're shocked. 17 consecutive possessions in which the team is either kneeling on it for a win or they're scoring points. Like, that's massive. But we look at that and it's like, okay, that's super cool. They put 38 up on Burrow's Bengals in primetime. But they did have to settle for 7 field goals the week before. So we have to put some of that in perspective. A rookie that's learning on the fly. Kingsbury, bang-up job. There's no doubt about it. I simply think that they will have trouble keeping up with Kyler and the Cards in Arizona this weekend. So that's my German lager party beer. It would be the Cards minus 3.5 against the Commanders.
Will PJ's team,
Gopher Nation,
have a tough time keeping up with Big Blue at the Big House? Bo Hunting, Burnsy next.
I can't wait until tomorrow.
It's on now.
Cause tomorrow
is the Friday football feast at Buffalo Wild Wings Coon Rapids. Greenway out of the gate, followed by Main Man G, then YA, and the Sultan at about 11:30. That's tomorrow, Buffalo Wild Wings Coon Rapids, PA in charge. See y'all there. Joining us now is Bo Hunting Burnsy, Ryan Burns at Ryan Burns MN, the founder of Gopher Illustrated and GopherIllustrated.com. For the Gophers off the loss to the Hawkeyes, now they head to the Big House and Michigan's 12th in the country. What's PJ Fleck and the team facing this weekend? And good morning.
Well, good morning. They're going to be facing one of your favorite former NFL defensive coordinators in Wink Martindale, who is now the Michigan defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, he's got multiple potential first-round picks on that defense this year. So it's not going to get any easier for your favorite Golden Gopher squad. They got a defensive tackle by the name of Mason Graham, who is incredibly twitched up, incredibly good against the run, incredibly good against the pass. Will Johnson is a cornerback who I think many people will be taking a long look at in the first round and the next spring. Just had a pick 6 against USC last weekend, was very highly thought of coming into the year. So it is going to be a game where it's going to come down to the run, PJ. It's going to come down to, can they stop it? Can they find a way to establish it? But it's going to be a tough test for Minnesota and in Ann Arbor.
And I'm glad you said that about the run, because I gravy trained this from your Twitter feed at Ryan Burns MN. Follow him as 9 to noon does. PJ's team is 17th in the Big Ten with rushing yards per game and rushing yards per attempt. I'm just guessing that's a major problem for a team that likes to chew on the clock, right?
I think that's an astute observation, and that's where it's trying to figure out why the run game has been so putrid. Now, they've had some games where they've been able to, but a lot of the season they haven't been able to run the football. And with 3 senior offensive linemen, including a left tackle, and Ariante Ursary, who's likely going to be starting somewhere in the NFL next year, why is that? And it's been tough to put a single finger on it. I think it's the offensive line has underperformed. Your backs haven't been breaking as many tackles. You've been seeing a lot more stacked boxes. But the reality is this. I mean, if you can't run the football at the University of Minnesota in a PJ Fleck offense, it's going to be awfully tough to move the football. And then on the flip side, PA, I mean, this is a Gopher run defense that in now 4 consecutive Big Ten games has given up over 215 rushing yards. So if you can't run the ball and you're struggling to stop the run, and you look at this game this weekend against Michigan, I mean, Michigan threw for 32 yards last week and beat USC at home. 32 yards is all they threw for. Well, how'd they do it? They ran for 260-plus. So your Gopher squad has got to be able to stop the run this weekend, and they got to find a way here coming up to get some resemblance of a running game.
Hey, Bo Hunter, the Michigan offense, okay, so Jim Harbaugh is of the offensive-minded variety. He's gone. Also gone, Zach Zinter, J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, the wide receiver, Roman Wilson. There was a tight end taken in the 4th round that went to Seattle. They also lost a guard with the last name Keegan. They lost a tackle to the Texans, last name Henderson, and another receiver, Cornelius Johnson. I mean, those are a lot of omissions from a wonderful offense. How are they offensively?
not very good at throwing the football. They are one of the worst passing offenses in the Big Ten, but to your point, I'd expect that without McCarthy and Blake Corum and the two receivers. They got 5 brand new offensive linemen. I mean, it is a complete rebuild on the offensive side of the ball, which is why they've already benched their starter coming into the year, Davis Warren, and they've gone with Alex Orji, someone that, like I said, threw for 32 passing yards. He is 6'3", 235 pounds, someone that's more of an athlete than he is a quarterback. But they're going to lean heavily on Donovan Edwards and maybe one of the best new names at running back in the Big Ten, Khalil Mullings, who is exceptional at yards after contact. I think he's top 5 in the Big Ten as well in missed tackles force. They want to be able to lean on Sharon Moore, the new head coach. And what was he previously? The offensive line coach. So even though they got 5 brand new starters up there, they still want to be going heavy into the double tight ends. They got a tight end named Colston Loveland, who's likely going to be an NFL draft pick. So they are very much a running offense because they have struggled immensely to throw the football. They got 6 picks to the first 4 games of the year.
Hey, Bo Hunter, for the Hawkeyes, the beef-eating running back, Caleb Johnson. I mean, he's out here looking like Jim Brown. I mean, is he that good? Is he like NFL caliber, high-end running back?
I think he is, but I also think the Gophers didn't do themselves any favors by missing as many tackles as they were. I tell you this, coming into the game, Minnesota had faced the number 1 and now number 2 running backs in the country in yards after contact. They faced Omarion Hampton, who leads the country in that regard, from North Carolina in the opener. And now Caleb Johnson is number 2. So it's a little bit of tough luck in terms of being able to face such talented backs. But I do think Caleb Johnson is going to be somebody that's going to be playing on Sundays here real soon. I mean, he is someone that you saw it on Saturday night, very, very good at making and creating his own space, accelerating through it, finishing long touchdown runs. But I'd also tell you, from talking with the defensive coordinator at Minnesota yesterday, Corey Heatherman, he was not thrilled with the ability for Minnesota to not get him on the ground. He thought they had opportunities to do so, and they were missing tackles left and right. So now you got to go against this Michigan team who, like I talked about earlier, Khalil Mullings is another kid who has been really, really good at running back for them. Another yards after contact monster. So Minnesota's got to find a way to get these guys on the ground.
Bo Hunter, 2.5 minutes. You get it all. Thanks for the time. Can't leave without asking you about the college football Z topic from abroad. UNLV and the Sluka Cat and name, image, likeness, NIL. What do you feel about that? Is this Sluka thing, is he being ripped off, or are he and his people changing the deal midstream?
I think where's the truth in this, where you see UNLV release a statement that they think that he's trying to change the deal midstream. As you said, Sluka said he was promised $100,000 from a coach. That hasn't come in. Where's the truth? I think it's probably somewhere in between, but this is the reality, and this was the worry when these guys aren't signing legally binding contracts as employees. This is what could happen. And it's been fascinating to kind of watch, as you just don't know where the chips are going to lie with this one. Where is Sluka right? Was the collective one that they did promise him something and now they don't have the money and so they're not going to pay him and now he's going to redshirt? But this is the type of thing where I get it for college football fans around the country, where this is tough to watch, where that UNLV team is one of the best group of 5 teams in college football right now, and Sluka is a big part of that. Well, now all the attention is off the team that is undefeated, and it's onto this story of money. And that's where it's tough at times to be able to kind of wrap your head around some of the things that college football has changed into, but it's just the reality of where we live now in 2024, PA.
Thank you for the time, my brother. At Gopher Illustrated, what can people find?
We'll have plenty of content coming out here this weekend. I'll be heading into Ann Arbor tomorrow. We'll see if the Gophers can keep this thing close into the second half against the Michigan Wolverines. Plenty of recruiting stuff to come, and that's all at GopherIllustrated.com.
And Ryan Burns, MN, via the X Machine. Good place to start. All right. Appreciate you, brother. Safe travels, and we'll chat soon, all right?
Appreciate you, Pierre.
That's the Bow Hunter. 9 to noon is focused on the border battle for the Friday football feast tomorrow.
He's on his mind.
Paul Charchian and yours truly, Buffalo Wild Wings, Coon Rapids. There, we're going to talk about what at least I think should be a Vikings victory this weekend.
And the silence you hear is Lambeau Field.
Hopefully we see you all there. And for Eric Nordquist, I'm Paul Allen. Time for Mad Producer to put a wrap on the show.
Time for 2 more. Good stuff.
There are many, many positives I can get out of this game.
Okay. Border battle starts with Intel. Bill Michaels, only Wisconsinite I know that recycles. LaFleur versus Flores, enough to wake Dom Capers. It's a party at Lambeau with all the toilet paper. Feels like it'll be Jordan Love. Sack staring up at the sky above. Sam the man on the fan, what do you say? Bring a souvenir win home from your first trip to Green Bay? Book ended with Burnsy on the Gophers, who stink worse than the host's bare feet and sweaty loafers. Baseball team beats the Marlins. Reminds me of an old bit on futility from George Carlin. Hey, darling, tomorrow be in Coon Rapids. The Friday feast is the antithesis of vapid. We need your energy, so go early to bed and bring foam footballs to throw at Sinekin's head.
And there is your... Stop it!
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.